So let's start with some strangely polarizing views around this book. There's no small number of dismissive one-sentence summary judgments about its value. I suspect that this is because of kind of a shallow bar of expectation. All books by Emily Dickinson must be simple biography or academic analysis, and the author must take a distant back seat to present the unarguable facts. This is, of course, nonsense. Personal scholarship, uniquely poets writing of poets, hybrid forms of genre, here creative memoir, biography, analysis, are all established and sound means into understanding their subjects. The notion of impartiality or objectivity in analysis, quaint as it is difficult to defend. As individual readers, we each phenomenologically wrestle with the text before us, discover what we ourselves find layered on top of the archaeology of our own reading experiences, and then we share it as much for its process of meaning-making as for what it discovers. In Susan Howe's case, that often means an analysis that at times waxes poetic itself because, stay with me, doubters and haters, it is entirely possible that the subtlety and complexity of poetic meaning itself defies common exposition. Now, Howe embraces this, and what results is not another dry, academic, and largely wrong-minded judgment of Dickinson's life and works. We truly do have enough of these, really. Instead, it's a sometimes associative, figurative, thoroughly researched redemption of the work of one of America's most powerful poets. Howe accomplishes the redemption in the first two chapters, demonstrating how the historical textbook portrayals of Dickinson fulfill patriarchal expectations for an unmarried domestic poet. She argues cleanly and clearly that Dickinson's intellectual conscience is not to be underestimated. She reveals in plain terms the multivalent roles of the omnipresent dash and the not arbitrary capitalization. If that means a passage like the following must be itself read as poetry, juxtaposition of concept in order to apply it by analogy, well, it's a gift. Here's how she writes. On this heath wrecked from Genesis, nerve endings quicken. Naked sensibility at the extremest poverty, narrative expanding, contracting, dissolving, nearer to no less before, afterward schism in some. No hierarchy, no notion of polarity. Perception of an object means loosing and losing it. Quests and in failure, no victory in sham quester. One answer undoes another, and fiction is real. Trust absence, allegory, mystery. The setting, not the rising sun, is beauty. Empirical domain of revolution and revaluation where words are in danger, dissolving, only mutability certain. Wow. Oh yeah, expect some passages like this one and linger there. And with this lingering, approach the text assembled together from various sources to see what Dickinson herself experienced. Then we look again at her verse. So after those first two chapters, the final lengthy and extraordinary examination on My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun, in the light and shadow of Browning's Childe Roland. Oh, yes, Howe reaches richly into American Calvinism, manifest destiny, into the Civil War, into her anxious relationship with Higginson and others, but she also breathes relationships between the texts which Dickinson had close. Shakespeare, Cooper, Brown, Emily Bronte, her own newspapers. Instead of drawing academically tidy, irrational, causal relationships, Howe offers sensibilities, circumstances, and that ever-elusive rendering of meaning which permeates all verse. Readers considering this text are wise to open-mindedly see the architecture Howe works with, to read the book, as with all texts, as it is presented, instead of as a lazy tradition of prejudgment. Howe sets her own infrastructure in place early on. Stein, Sissou, Gilbert and Gumar, others. She says plainly as she writes of Thoreau's Concord River, the river that will carry him into time, Emily Dickinson is my emblematic Concord River. From a powerful poet writing and redeeming an historical genius, her mission and approach could not be more plain.